You look into the mirror. Do you like who is facing you? Are you pretty, handsome, or average looking? Do you wish you looked better? Maybe like Beyonce or Denzel. What if you knew that you can never look good enough? What if you knew you can never be satisfied with that face in the mirror? What if you knew the face in the mirror is not you? Join us and see if you could ever see yourself. This is Who Am I? Who am I?
Who am I?
Who? Our purpose is to awaken.
Who am I?
To awaken to absolute truth.
Am I?
Who am I?
Who?
Who?
Our purpose is to awaken to absolute truth.
Absolute.
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 Absolute truth.
Our purpose is to awaken. Are they one and the same? Absolute and truth. That's our purpose.
Who am I?
Now, I know all y'all mistake me for Denzel, right?
Yeah,
I know. Yeah, everybody says, you look just like Denzel. Is my nose getting longer? But, we have this concept of who we think we are. And notice who we think we are is always, about a body. You look into the mirror. You go, oh, my God, I didn't brush my hair right, whatever. And you spend all that money, like somebody was telling me that we were talking about Aretha Franklin, who just, quote, died last week. And I was saying, Aretha wasn't that pretty, but Whitney was prettier. Okay, and they said, well, Whitney had more, could do more makeup. Makeup could do wonders. And, you women do all that, spend all that money and time on makeup. You don't agree? But anyway, the point, though, is we see how much attention we put on this body, in particular the face that we think we call us, okay? Now, we want to look at this thing called the body because the body is basically to verify that what we call reality is real. And one of the things we think that is real is fear, okay? There is something called survival instinct. I think that, if I pull out an AK-47 right now and point it at all of you, you would duck or something, okay? Because you identify as a body who can die. We think death is real, and we associate death with the body, okay? The body comes into existence, and then the body goes out of existence. Did you have something you want to say?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. All right. So, as a matter of fact, that's what the Buddha, when he became supposedly realized, or whatever you want to call the term, all right, he said, there is no death and no extinction of death. In other words, you were never born. Or if you take Christianity, as we were saying in the last show, Christianity deals with that Jesus supposedly overcame death. That's one of the primary foundations of Christianity, and that he died on a cross and then rose again. That body identification that Jesus supposedly had, even though he was supposed to be the Christ, if you think Christ is a body, then you're caught again in what the human mind has to make as its central focus, that the body is real. Glory.
I don't know if this ties in with what you're saying, but in your introduction, it triggered something for me, and that was about the mirror. That when we look into the mirror, we see this face or we see this body that looks good or it doesn't look good or whatever. But it's the mirror. And so it had me think about using the mirror as an analogy of God's identity, that mirror represents God's identity, the unchangeable. It just is. And whatever shows up, whatever that mirror reflects, perhaps represents the human identity. Am I on track, or is like, I want to
know where
get
you're
that
going
clear?
with that. See, again, you're quoting subject-object.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, the mirror is kind of like, you can use the analogy of like when you go to the movie and the screen, all right? And there's a projector back in the back of the cinema room, and it's projecting onto the screen. We forget about the screen, okay? And we just look at all the projections, the characters, the Denzels and whoever on the screen, okay? But it's a screen that doesn't change. It's the action that's been projected onto the screen that changes, okay?
But we identify with that action that's being projected
Yes.
onto the screen, or we identify with that image that is being reflected by the mirror, right?
Yes.
And that's not who we are,
Right.
but that's what we identify with as this body.
Yeah.
So what is that screen, and what does that mirror represent?
It is the changeless, okay? See, as you were saying, we identify with change, and change has to occur within a context of time. You can't have change unless there's time, all right? But this which is changeless is timeless, okay? And so it is permanent, it's eternal, it is immutable, it is that which is constant, okay? And that's who I am. But once I identify as a body, I change. You don't look like you did 30 years ago. None of us do. I know you're only 32, okay? But you were just a little baby at 32, right? My nose getting longer
30
there.
years ago.
Yeah, right. But anyway, none of us looks like we did 30 years ago, okay? You could probably take out your old albums, and look at, like back in the 70s, I had a big old fro. Okay, I mean, Angela Davis type fro, okay, with my dashiki, all right? And y'all remember that? Oh, no, y'all too young for all that. But, look at how you were 30 years or 40 years ago, okay? And you change. The fashion change. You go, I can't wear this anymore because, that's dated. That type, they can't wear that anymore. Somebody on... What is it? Not Park Avenue, the fashion
Madison.
Madison, is it Madison Avenue? That is a fashion capital?
Oh, no, you're talking about down on 36th Street.
Yeah, whatever the fashion,
Downtown,
all those
36
fashion
and
people.
7th, right?
Seventh Avenue.
Like, The Devil Wears Prada, remember that movie? Okay, but I mean, they just make that up so they can keep making money. And, for women, they can really do it. For guys, all they can do for us is make the
Change the
lapels
lapels.
and the buttons change a little bit. But it has to change. What is changeless? Now, if you look at the ramification of that, if you pray, are you asking God to change?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So God can't be changeless. All right? Prayer is a human activity. Has nothing to do with God.
But what
What
would it be like if when I look in the mirror and I see that image of this form and I know that that isn't who I am? I mean, how would my life be different than identifying with this form?
You wouldn't be attached to anything.
Okay.
It's kind of like, you've gone, all of us have gone to our banks. I don't care whether it's Wells Fargo or Bank of America or SunTrust or whatever. And, you're looking at the teller behind the bulletproof glass. And, they're counting, they got these machines there, count, thousands of dollars real fast. And they take it up and they, put it in a bundle and put it in a drawer or whatever, okay? And they're around the money all day. Mm-hmm. But notice, they're not attached to that money. They know it's not theirs, okay? And they can be around, I even sometimes joke with my teller. I say, why don't you just give me, Fortunately, they know me. Otherwise, they would say, you're trying to rob the bank. But I said, why don't you give me some of that? They said, I wish I could, but it's not mine. So, they're kind of, it's just like you're picking up chalk for them in a sense. They're not attached to it. But see, we are attached to this identity called me, which is a form, all right, that appears solid. And I underscore the word appears.
What makes us attached to it?
Your mind. The mind, the ego. The ego has to, see, the ego is this. It's that which is separate from God. Now, you can't be separate from the infinite, okay? You only think you can. And so because it's not whole and complete, it has to grab onto an object, all right? And it says, I need this. And so to feel like I am complete. And so one of the things that tells you to grab onto is your body. And it says, I am this body. I'm somebody. John.
That's why the mind is in control.
Yeah, it looks like.
It looks as though, and it has to play the superior role,
Yes.
the controlling role within oneself.
Yes.
Or as well as with trying to make it control other minds,
Yes.
which control those bodies.
Yes.
So the mind is far superior.
It thinks it is. Okay? Well, Lydia and then Addie.
So I guess my question is, if one comes to the place where they recognize that they are not the form, it appears that the other trap, if you will, is the mind, because it thinks, well, then I'm the mind, and that's what I am. But that's not true. And it's like sky. And I'm not talking about just Earth's atmosphere, but sky. If we can say sky, consciousness is like sky, when a sun goes supernova and explodes and disintegrates, it doesn't change sky. That's what I really am, and not the things that appears in it. But there's still something here that's trying to identify with something.
Yeah.
And that's, it does that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. That gets back to what Gloria was trying about the mirror and we were talking about the screen. See, it appears something's going on here. I think Bahia likes to ask that question. It appears that something is happening here, that there's a movie going on, or there's a reflection in the mirror, whatever analogy you want to use.
There's nothing going on.
Not that you are aware of. Okay, see, the action, all right, take the word omni-action. Now, suppose all those omnis, omnipresence, omnipotence, whatever omnis are, omniscience and so forth. We think action is about movement. Okay, I move from here to here. And there's what we call, it took me energy to move from here to here. In other words, there's space involved, okay? Omni-action, or God's action, doesn't move like we think it moves, because there's no space, okay? And, how can you think of something that is without space? You can't, okay? So we think that there's some action, some change going on, okay, that it takes from this to that, okay, because there's an alteration, either in time or space, okay, of a form. But that's just human thinking. That's why we got to have a God who's like us, a God that we can conceive of, because we're always trying to defend me. Because I am the source, I think. As John was saying, the mind wants to... See, the only thing is the ego thinks it's God. Okay? But it isn't. But it thinks it's God by thinking. Okay? And it starts to always verify that it exists.
And you said we can't stop thinking.
Right. Because, that's just what the mind does. its job is to think. And the first thing it was think is that I am this body. Now, Eddie.
Okay, so we were taught by our parents and our Sunday school teachers and everything that we are a mind in the body. Okay. And I've asked this question so many times and nobody's really given me a satisfactory answer. And that is, if you don't have if your body dies, what happens to your mind and your spirit, which is something touched on before. And the thing of it, I would say I got lost. Gee, Willikers, I got lost.
Go roll with it.
Okay, but the thing of it is I've asked people, if you don't have a brain, say if you were brain dead, like they had some, but anyway, if you were brain dead, can you think? I mean, what is there anything going on in there? If your brain is dead, do you have a mind? Do you have a spirit?
Okay. I think Sharon, in the previous show, were you declared clinically dead? Or did they think?
No.
I wasn't dead. Actually, now that I think about it, I guess that is true because I stopped breathing. And they were trying to get a heartbeat back and get breath back. So you know what? I guess that is true.
And you saw all that.
Yeah, and I did see all of that and hear all of that. Yeah. But there is awareness you don't have to have a brain to have awareness because, again, you're not this body. So if everything is still available to you, it's not being filtered through the body.
Right.
Yeah, see, what's central to this human identity is I think I have a brain or a mind in a body, okay? And I call it a brain. And that, like you said, what if this brain stops working?
Yeah.
Then who am I? That's why you got to ask this question. Who is the one that's present and that is aware? Okay, is it dependent upon a brain inside a body that changes, and eventually this body is programmed to destroy itself? Okay, that is the way it's set up, John.
No, this probably has nothing to do with that, but I just keep thinking since this discussion came up, I started thinking about the Tin Man and the Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
And he sings the song "If Only I Had a Brain." Oh, you have it there.
Yeah.
If only I had a brain, and what all he would do and what have you, and he thinks he would be this great person, but he has a body. But he doesn't have a brain, but he's still functioning. Of course, I know it's fiction, but it's kind of interesting to me that came into my head when you all just had that discussion about, really in terms of the brain and the mind, and once one's physical body goes away, what happens to it?
Yeah, this is why, Giuliani, said something this past weekend. He said, truth isn't true. Okay, he's like, okay. Yeah, that's what Giuliani said, Trump's attorney, okay? Anyway, this is why you got to find out, well, what is truth? Okay? Is there something called truth? And how do you define truth? Okay, because everybody, even Giuliani, had to admit that that's true, although he said it isn't true. Okay, but anyway, if God is all right, there's something called omniscience. Let's leave the word God out. Okay, if there's something called omniscience, all-knowing, omni meaning all. Okay, if there is something called all-knowing, all-awareness, or whatever you want to call it, all right. Then how can Alan Carter have a brain or a mind and know something? All knowing, give all the power, all the glory, all the might to all. So that means nothing for Alan.
No, because you're made in the image and likeness.
Well, that's the scripture, yeah. If I am, I can't take anything away from it. It is all.
Yeah, well, you don't have to take anything away because it is like you said, all.
which means one.
Well, everything is one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's just one mind.
But, see,
But you're
that's-
part of it.
That's the conundrum, though, is that if there is only one, all,
One plural.
one power, one mind, then there is no Gloria mind, there is
Right.
no Alan mind, and that's the conundrum that none of us want. As a body that we identify with this human body, we can't go to nothing.
Right.
That ego will not let us go to nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. Because see,
But it's like we're not nothing, but that's like to get to nothing is all. And that's what the omniscience is all nothing.
yes.
No thing.
Everything.
Yes.
And it's everything. But we can't wrap our mind around all nothing and everything.
But do
It's
we
one
have
and the
to?
same.
Do we have to wrap
We
our
don't have to, no.
you
We can
can't,
walk
because
around
the
being
mind is
ignorant about it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Be.
Be.
Yes. Be.
And what is that? What
It is
just
what
being?
I am.
Yeah.
Be and am are the same. Okay? Which means
Right.
to exist. Be means there's only existence of all. Okay? Bahia and then Carol.
I think what we have to accept is the lie that was told to us, and that lie is, I think, therefore I am.
Right.
Once we accept that, then we can start. I don't know what we can do, but anyway.
Yeah, well, see, that's how we get, this is as Gloria was saying, the conundrum. We get caught up in the human thinking. And thinking is about time. Time and thinking are the same. Okay? You can't think without time. And so, you have to use something called start, which means time.
Right, and there is no start.
Right,
because
there is no start.
Because there ain't no end.
because there is no end and there's only all. But the point that you just made, if all is all knowing, well then how can anything else know anything?
Right.
Right. So we have to accept the fact that we're not really here.
We don't have anything to worry
And that
about.
the mind has created the body, the universe, and all the things that are in it. And it's all an illusion, which is what Sharon saw when she went out of her body.
Yeah.
We have to accept that reality.
Yeah, and we will fight against it. Because see, I don't want to die. When I say I think death is, about the body, but it really is about the mind, as we just discussed. Joan.
No, I was just when Abiyah said that when Sharon went out of her body, then she still had a mind.
You want to answer that?
I didn't have a mind. I was aware. And I'm so grateful that I know and understand the difference in that. I was aware of everything all at once, but I didn't have a mind. And I also knew that I wasn't Sharon.
And that you weren't Sharon's mind.
So
And that I wasn't Sharon's mind. Exactly.
Who was the I? When you're saying I was aware,
Consciousness.
it's not Sharon.
It wasn't
is aware.
Sharon. It wasn't Sharon aware, and it wasn't Sharon's mind. It was consciousness. It was awareness. It was just a sense of everything, allness, all at once. That's like the best way I can explain it. But I knew it didn't have a daggone thing to do with Sharon.
But your mind was nowhere involved.
It wasn't Sharon. My Sharon's mind couldn't have been involved.
Yeah,
Because
but this may be the new.
This didn't have anything to do with Sharon, and it was like I was clear. I was clear. That's her. This is I. This is me, and this has nothing to do with her down there. I can't explain it any different than that, but it was just like a understanding that it just was. I was very clear about it.
So you had an experience, and I know if you experience, that's back to the human. But it's like that's the closest to being.
Yeah, whenever you talk about it, you adulterate it.
You do what?
Adulterate it.
Exactly.
Okay? Words cannot grasp it. Okay? And so, it's kind of like, why did Jesus speak in parables? He was trying to talk about that which cannot be talked about. Okay? It's kind of like what a poet does. A poet tries to, or an artist, they can have these experiences, and then a poet would try to use words to express some things, but it's not to that's why you have to, if you read the Bible, you got to read it like you read poetry, not like literal, okay? Or like you see a painting, you might see a Van Gogh, an impressionistic painting, okay? Well, Van Gogh may have been trying to portray something that was not expressible. Is that a word, expressible? Or whatever, in words, okay? You can't really, take words to express the infinite, okay? That's why anything anybody says about God is a lie. I don't care who, even Jesus, okay, or Buddha, or whoever. They can try to point to it, okay? And they were saying, yo, there's something going on here that I can't really talk about. I can't really explain. And then what do? We put it into our little system of understanding, and then we can make God into anything we want to, Zeus or whatever, okay, Apollo, or, and then we can build a religion around it and have a lot of do's and don'ts about it, okay? But that's all that's why you got to understand how the mind works. Okay, because it's always distorting something. It cannot know what's real. I don't care, it's like I think I told you, I had this patient one time who was a nude dancer in one of these strip clubs, okay? Something I know nothing about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. My nose got longer. But anyway, and she said, nobody's ever seen me. Nobody's ever seen God. Okay? You may have some experiences. I don't care if you're Ezekiel, Jesus, or whoever, that are beyond the normal, but when you try to express it, that ain't it. Okay? That's an adulteration of it. That's not it. Because it only knows it. Okay? And it will not allow you to adulterate it. But you think you can. And so you build a religion, or you build a science, or you build whatever you want out of it, and that's not it, okay? So just realize that there's something going on here that you, as a human, do not understand, and I just got a signal. We'll wind this up, and we'll take on from here about what is this that is formless, that has no dimension, that is here, but is not available to the senses or the human mind. Thank you.
Living Truth 365 is proud to support Dr. Alan Carter and the Who Am I television show. Please visit our website at livingtruth365.org to find out more about our services, classes, and community support. We invite you to visit with us and share our journey in truth.